Welcome to Buy International. My name is Michael Santos, and today I am providing some awesome content from Jason Craig, the president of IRA Resources, Inc. You can reach him at iraresources.com, and I'm going to put his contact information on the bottom of this seminar. But we are going to today learn about self-directed independent retirement accounts from the master of self-directed independent retirement accounts, Jason Craig. Jason, welcome to Buy International, and I really just want to start off by thanking you for joining our program. Perhaps you can start by telling us a little bit about how you became an expert in independent retirement accounts.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate you having me on. I've been in the industry now almost 11 years. It's a unique one. I started off in banking, and to me, an IRA was a savings account or a CD. We had a client that introduced me to the fact that you could invest in other things besides stock market or publicly traded assets. It became kind of interesting and unique. So I started to learn a little bit more about it. I got an opportunity to work in it, and 11 years later, I've been doing it still. It's grown a lot lately. You know, people now are starting to hear a little bit more about it, but it is an interesting opportunity to be able to use retirement accounts to invest in alternative assets.
So what it is exactly, tell us exactly what an alternative or an independent retirement account, self-directed, is. How does that process work?
So an IRA is an IRA, whether it's with a brokerage house or a firm like ours, like IRA Resources. The rules about what you can contribute, how it works, when you can contribute are all the same. The difference is we don't limit our clients to invest in certain things that either we sell or on the public stock market. So our clients can invest in things like real estate, whether that be domestic or international. They can do businesses, they can do promissory notes. So it's things that aren't mainstream or that are publicly traded is what our clients like to do. So it's a way for them to diversify their portfolio and a lot of times invest in something they know. People know real estate, they understand it, they want to invest in it. The retirement funds allow them another pool of monies to be able to do that.
That's one of the most important, I guess, aspects of my most relevant reasons of why I wanted to interview you is because I'm an investor down at the fabulous development known as the Reserve in southern Belize, and I have properties there. The developer has properties there, and I think that a lot of people would benefit by learning about how they could invest as an alternative investment using pre-tax dollars to purchase real estate that is not that turns out to be an investment that has no ties to the stock market, no ties to the bond market, and also has the added benefit of getting some assets outside of the United States, which certainly appeals to me, and I think will appeal to some of the viewers of the Buy International program. So how would somebody go about it if somebody wanted to invest in real estate with pre-tax dollars? What process would they follow?
It's a pretty simple process. Like anywhere else, you have to open an account. We open an IRA, and that can be a traditional, like you said, for pre-tax dollars. And then they move money in. It's typically from an old 401k or an existing IRA that they may have at a Fidelity or Schwab or some brokerage house. Once the IRA is opened and funded, we've transferred the money in, the client is responsible for picking the asset that they want to invest in. In your example, it's international real estate. Because we don't sell a product, we don't say, go buy this real estate or this house or this condo. We just let them choose what they want to do, and then we walk them through the process. So once they've worked with somebody to identify the property that they want to buy, we work to fill out the paperwork on behalf of the IRA and actually execute the transaction. So when you get a statement from us, it's not, a stock, it's not a bond, it is the piece of real estate, and we would list that real estate on the statement.
And how long does this process take? Let's say that I am an individual who wants to open, I don't have any type of retirement account. I want to start one. What would be the length of time that it would take for me to open the account? And what would be the length of time it would take for me to be able to take action and ask you, I want you to invest in this property down at the Reserve in southern Belize?
We do it pretty quickly. So if we get the paperwork from you today to establish the account is open today, no later than tomorrow. So it's usually a one-day turnaround time to get the account established. If you don't have a retirement account that you're transferring and you're going to make a contribution to start it, that could actually come in via check at the same time that the paperwork comes in, or you could send in a wire and ACH the next day once the account is established. So from there, we would have essentially a 7-day window from the time the account is established to be able to do the investment. So while our clients are opening the account and processing the fund contribution in this case, they're usually working concurrently to identify the investment property, get the purchase contract ready, do everything that they would need to do to speed up that process. So when the account is funded and ready to go, we can execute the documents and actually make the investment. So all in all, you're looking probably about 7 business days.
7 business days from the time I initially contact you, I will get the forms. I can get my assets into my self-directed IRA. And after I do that, I can direct you within 10 days, send the money or wire the funds to the developer so I can own this asset in my retirement account.
That's correct, yes. Now, the only back and forth would be on the investment provider or whoever is selling the house, negotiating the contract or whatever our client would be doing along that way. But other than that, yeah, it's a pretty simple transaction.
So it's my responsibility to do that. It's not your responsibility. Once I negotiate everything with the developer gives me a contract. Here is your property. I can direct you. And 10 days later, we're looking at from start to finish, that developer is funded and that property is now in my retirement account. Is that accurate?
Yeah. It's a pretty quick process. We've got it down pretty well.
So one of the things that I think I'm going to do is one of the components of my whole program is I never ask anybody to do anything that I am not doing.
Okay.
So what I am going to do with you is after we finish this interview is I'm going to ask you to send me your paperwork. And I'd love to document this of how easy it is. We are going to do this on a follow-up episode where you are going to send me the paperwork. I will, on my own behalf, fill it out.
Okay.
I'll block out some of my financial information so it's not shown, but I'm just letting the world know what they can see.
Right.
I'm going to fill out the documentation. Then you are going to tell me when to wire my funds. And then we're going to see how long does it take to begin funding one of my properties through my retirement account. And if I have to buy a separate one from the developer, I will do that. Is that something that you'd be willing to do so that our viewers could actually see how easy it is?
Of course, definitely. I mean, it'd be a great learning tool for everybody else to see as well how simple the process is to be able to go ahead and invest in alternative assets. Would love to.
I'd love to do that as well because that'll hold true to my commitment to say I'm never doing anything that I haven't done. Now, one of the things that I am doing down there at the Reserve is I am offering properties available to individuals under the same terms that I get through this self-directed retirement account. But it's my understanding that there are some limitations. So let's say I'm buying a piece of property down there for $100,000 or $200,000, and the developer is going to finance me with monthly payments. Through my independent retirement account, can I send whatever the maximum is to you or to my self-directed IRA and have you just fund those monthly installment payments to the developer through my self-directed IRA?
Definitely. So the IRA can be a borrower, so it would take a mortgage out in this case, and the developer would be the one lending the money. The only caveat there is the IRA can borrow, but it has to be a non-recourse loan. So they can't go after the person. The only collateral that they can use is the actual property or land that's being pledged or financed. So as long as the lender is willing to do a non-recourse loan, the IRA can borrow. You can make a contribution or a transfer to the IRA, and then the IRA would have essentially a mortgage note or a note that it would pay on a monthly basis.
Okay, that's very good news. The next question I have are what limits do I have? How much can I use to fund my self-directed IRA? I'm 54 years old, if that matters. How much can I send of pre-tax money to my self-directed IRA every month?
In a traditional IRA, being over 50 or 50 or over, you're allowed to contribute $6,500 per year. If you're under 50, it's $5,500 per year for a traditional IRA. If you have a SEP, which means you're self-employed and you have a business, you can do up to $55,000 on an annual basis, assuming you have that much in compensation.
So what does that mean? Let's say I have $100,000 in compensation from a business that I own. How much of that $100,000 could I put into my self-directed IRA?
You can do up to 25% with a maximum of $55,000 on an annual basis. So in your example of $100,000, you could do 25.
So I could put $25,000 in pre-tax money into a self-directed IRA and use that $25,000 in pre-tax money to invest in an alternative investment such as property in Belize or Costa Rica or any of these international developments that I'm so excited about at Buy International. Is that right?
Definitely. If you have a SEP IRA, you can do that much. Again, if it's a traditional, which means you're not self-employed, you're opening one up, you can do $6,500. But your example is correct. You could take that and then invest in properties in Costa Rica or Belize.
Now, you are able to open both a SEP IRA and a traditional IRA as well, correct?
Right. The caveat with the SEP IRAs, you have to be self-employed. You have to be a business owner.
As long as I have an LLC, I can just, from that LLC, pay myself a salary enough, and I know that I could put up to 25% of that income into my pre-tax dollars at up to $55,000, correct?
Correct. Earned income and a business owner. Yes, those are the two things.
Very exciting. So the second question I have, and I may have to open two separate IRAs to make this happen, is let's say I'm not a business owner, but I want to do more than you said. I think you said 6,500 because I'm over 50.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So that's only about 500, a little better than $500 a month. And I know that my payment is going to be maybe $1,000 a month. Could my wife open one and I open another one, and the two retirement accounts own the piece of property so that I could fund it? We could fund it with $1,000 a month. Could we do that?
Great question. Yes, that's what's called partnering. So you could open the IRA, like you said, your wife could open an IRA, and each IRA would be a 50% owner of the property itself. So then each IRA is responsible for 50% of that mortgage payment, but each IRA also gets 50% of the benefit, whether it be equity or rental income along the way as well.
Excellent. And so when this property comes, and let's say that I choose to eventually sell that property and there is a profit, does that profit go directly to my self-directed IRA as non-taxable income?
That's correct. Yes, it goes right back to the IRA.
And what if I choose, so I'm buying vacant land. What if my goal on purchasing this vacant land in time, when I am ready, is to develop, say, a structure on this vacant piece of property or on this undeveloped piece of property? I want to wait for the developer to pour tens of millions of dollars in building the new man-made lake that's going in the area where I own property,
Okay.
and have some more houses go up so my property value increases. And when the time comes, say 2-3 years down the road, I want to build a house that I want to use as a short-term rental. Is there any danger in me having my real estate in my self-directed IRA and then personally building the house on there with not pre-tax dollars? Or does that all have to go through my self-directed IRA?
The latter. It all has to go through your self-directed IRA. So there's a thing called a disqualified person, and you would not be able to build the house with personal funds if your IRA actually owns it. So if the IRA purchases the land, the IRA would be responsible for building the house to rent or to sell or whatever it needs to do. Now, again, the IRA can do a non-recourse loan. So if the builder wanted to finance, you could add that part on top of it, but the IRA would be responsible for that.
Interesting. Would I personally be able to lend money to my self-directed IRA?
You cannot loan money to your self-directed IRA.
Could I partner with somebody else? Could my self-directed IRA partner with somebody else who may want to develop a property on my land, and then he would pay me rent, kind of like those properties in New York City that somebody bought the land at one point, and then a developer built a building on it, and they sign a lease and they pay so much to the landowner over a period of time?
You definitely can do that as long as the person that you're partnering with or to do that transaction is not disqualified. So a lineal ascendant, parent, grandparent, or descendant, child, grandchild. But you can definitely do that.
So does that, you said parents, grandchildren, so on and so on, would that include siblings as well?
Siblings are not considered disqualified. The IRS does not rule them out. So if you have a brother or sister and they wanted to do this type of a transaction with you, you could definitely do it with them.
And a stranger, of course, I could do it. It's just the parents and the children, the linear.
Correct.
Up and down. Okay, that's very, very helpful for me. So that leads me to a follow-up question regarding individuals who are already employees and already have some type of an independent retirement account.
Okay.
Does anybody who has an independent retirement account, do they have the ability to be free thinkers and say, I want to control my own retirement account and reach out to you and just simply direct their employer, from now on, I want you to move my funds from Fidelity, for example, over to your company?
The plan that they're part of, so that's going to be dependent upon the company that they work for and the plan that they have. Some companies have a plan that will allow for the ability to invest outside of the plan, outside of the Fidelity or the Schwab, as you mentioned. So they could direct the funds over here and contribute through their 401k and be able to turn around and buy the investment property. Some plans will not allow for that. So the only way that you can access the 401k that most people have would be on a separation, whether it be you've quit and left and gone to another job, or you've been terminated or something like that. Then you have the access to roll it over into an IRA. So it's going to be dependent upon each employer and the plan that they offer, and that employee can inquire with the plan administrator to see if it's something that's allowable.
Can you tell me the costs to open an independent retirement account with your company?
Definitely. The new account opening fee is $100. The annual administration fee for the account and one asset is $199 a year. It doesn't matter if the asset is worth $5,000 or $55 million, the pricing is the same. It's not tiered. So as your account grows, our fees stay the same.
So it's $100 for me to fill out the paperwork and get qualified and vetted and authorized to be a self-directed IRA. That's the first step, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And then the second step is for me to continue funding, and I just need to budget, what is it, $199 a year to maintain the account.
Correct. And we break that into annual payments. So it's 2 payments a year that total $199.
And so in exchange for that, I am able to make investments with pre-tax dollars.
Yes. Outside of the publicly traded assets.
And how long will it take before I can start living off of those assets? At what age am I able to start cashing in on the self-directed IRA?
That's up to the individual person. So you can start taking out what's called distributions from a traditional IRA or a pre-tax IRA with no penalty at 59.5. Okay, so at 59.5, you don't have the pre-tax penalty. After that, it's just taxed at ordinary income. If you were to take it out at 40, you have a 10% penalty, plus you have the taxable income that you would have to claim on your taxes and report. So it's independent.
So I'm 55, right? 55. I don't know. I'm 54 or 55. I lose track now. I think I'm 54.
Go with mid-50s.
So when I'm 60, let's say I buy an asset right now, and at 60, I decide, okay, I've got a lot of equity. The property value has gone up, and I'm ready to liquidate this asset, and I'm able to sell it, and I make a $50,000 capital gains on it. At that point, it is all pre-tax because it's still in my independent retirement account, correct?
Correct.
So it's $50,000 pre-tax. Now what I can do is I can start using my independent retirement account, if I understand you correctly, to start drawing money at a regular income level.
That's
so
correct.
When my other income is dropped, I can say, okay, send me now $3,000 a month out of my independent retirement account, and I will be taxed as if that is regular income.
That's correct. So we have a lot of clients that will do that. They will set up what's called a reoccurring distribution, and that would be every 2-week basis, like it's replacing payroll. Maybe it's once a month, and we just turn around and we send them whatever they would like on a monthly basis from the account, and that can be via check, wire, or ACH.
So that is really exciting to somebody who is my age that wants to allow my money to grow without paying high income tax rates. I'm at a high income year right now, but I know I won't always be earning regular income from my job and different things. When I'm 65, I may want to slow it down. This is a great strategy, it sounds like, for me to be planning for the latter phases of my life.
Definitely. And to the point of that $50,000 in your example, coming back to the IRA, you're not taxed on all $50,000 unless you take it out. So if you're only taking out $1,000 a month, you're only paying taxes on $12,000 for that year. So It allows you to spread it out and space it to fit what you need from a lifestyle perspective.
Now, I've read so much, Jason, and maybe you can educate our audience a little bit on this, about how woefully unprepared most Americans are who are over 40 years old with regard to preparing for retirement. Could you give us a little insight on what you have seen as a professional in this field? What are you reading? What is the industry telling us about Americans' preparation for retirement?
It's not satisfactory. Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't been planning and saving in order to support themselves in retirement. So they're trying to play catch up, which is one of the reasons why we have the catch up contribution that allows people over 50 to put more away. But 10,000 people a day are turning 65, and the average savings account, I believe, for somebody in that age bracket is about $10,000. So if you look at what you would have to replace from an income perspective, what you're making now, what you're living, if you start to factor in things like mortgage and groceries and electric bills, could somebody live off the $10,000 that they would have? They wouldn't be able to. So somebody needs to invest, they need to save, they need to look towards the future, come up with a plan, and start to execute it.
Well, I got to say, at Buy International, we are certainly enthusiastic to develop a relationship with you and your team. Anybody who is interested in learning more about self-directed IRAs, I really encourage you to call Jason. He is an expert, and you are going to be able to watch as I go through this myself. I intend to open one of these accounts for both my wife and for me, because again, I never ask anybody to do anything I'm not doing. Okay. You can follow along with this. I will actually create a playlist on self-directed independent retirement accounts that I am documenting how I filled out the paperwork, how I funded it, and you can watch. You can see how you can begin owning assets that appreciate in value with pre-tax dollars if you contact my friend Jason Craig. And Jason, can you again tell us the name of your company and anything else that you would like to say to our audience?
Definitely. I work for IRA Resources. The website is www.iraresources.com. And please feel free to reach out. Any one of our reps can talk to you and walk you through and answer all the questions you may have about how to get started or how self-direction works. Our number is 858-459-1212. Looking forward to working with you on the process, Michael.
I am as well, and documenting the process for viewers to see. So we'll do a couple of series of episodes if it's okay with you.
Yes.
What I'd like to do afterwards is just send me the information to my email address.
Okay.
I will then film it independently, how I fill it out. Anybody can watch it. It'll be on this video. When I send it back, I want to just document the entire process, including how you fund this property for me in Belize.
Would love to do it.
Great. How long have you guys been in business?
Since 1996, 22 years.
A very well-established company. If you are interested in learning more about self-directed IRAs, I really encourage you, call Jason Craig. You can follow along and see how he took care of my wife and me. And I hope that you will take action and start preparing for your retirement today. Be back with another episode of Buy International tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.